What the fuck is up? Welcome back to another episode of my podcast, Mari's Mind. I think that's the permanent name. Um, Today is a really, really, really special episode. I have an amazing special guest with me, Joseph from OptiView. If you're in the
I,
Orlando area, you might be familiar with him. Um,
mhm.
do you want to give a little intro or?
Yeah, well, we were there for like 2.5 years in Longwood, and then prior to that, different locations. So about 15 years total. And they're running the OptiView, starting it out since 2010 as Reflection Show. It was the beginning. Under New Dimensions was the first part, and then just kind of left the state and exploring recreational specific states for it. But took a 2 years off after the 15-year run, which is always needed. Steve Jobs took about 10 years off when he reinvented Apple, but
Oh
I'm
yeah,
back
no,
at,
everyone needs a break.
yeah,
So how old are you?
I'm 41 now.
I
I'm a
have to
dog.
ask because I'm that girl. When's your birthday? We need to know your zodiac sign.
Uh, July,
When was it?
84, July of 84.
Got you, got you. So you are a Cancer or
Cancer, and raised by a single mom for a while there, and then she met my stepdad
oh, okay, so you grew up with a single mom.
for a little while, about half in the beginning, and then she met someone that was real devout in the JW Church, Jehovah's Witness, and then we moved into that. So I grew up Jehovah's
Yeah.
Witness.
So let's talk about your childhood while we're in this topic. So where'd you grow up?
Well, I grew up in Wyoming
Mm-hmm.
and also in South Dakota as well. So both those states. I was born in New York, but my parents, broke up over religion. Uh,
Oh
so my
no.
mom became very devout Jehovah's Witness when she met my dad, and he didn't want to deal with that type of restrictions. So then they broke up. But it was fine. I mean, it was always I always saw my real dad and my stepdad. It was like having two dads. It was real good.
Yeah.
Good childhood. It wasn't like traumatic or anything. There was a lot of people who do have traumas, but it was really decent, loving childhood, and we're very into creativity and dealing with YouTube and DOS and Windows 3.1 and Apple in school, and so learned from the beginning of a lot of things.
So when did your parents separate? Did they divorce or separate?
Oh yeah, they divorced when I was real young. I
Got you.
remember I was a little baby.
Oh, you okay? Yeah, same. My parents separated when I was like 2. And same thing with me. My stepdad came in my life when I was 3, so I felt like I had two dads as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that's
Yeah.
cool. When did your stepdad come into your life?
Man, I was probably like 9 or 10 years old when that happened.
And
So it was cool. I
how?
always saw my dad once a year, usually my real dad once a year, and it was always fun. Like going from small town and to the clutches of New York, it was a big culture shock every time, and he had some of the coolest stuff
Your
in his
dad was
play.
living in New York?
Yeah, my dad still lives in New York, my real dad. So like I go visit him every year when I was a kid. Once a year, I would go there for like 30 days and get to experience like this entire world that was different with city and big buildings and lights and stuff. So, and then he had all this disco equipment in his place. He still does, but not as much as he did back then. He had a lot more back then. So I just had a thing for lighting, and then going back to a small town, for the majority of the year, there was nothing to do except hang out with the nerds, and we would all get together and just work with Windows and 3.1 and Windows 95. I mean, I've been through all of them. So we would just be nerding out and learning everything from the ground up. So adaptability is key to
Mm-hmm.
anything encounter with business or life, and is ability to adapt like on a dime when things happen. So that is a secret that most people need to learn how to do, and it's a lot of hard work. Business things put a lot of hard extra work when you're going through like a challenging change. You have to be able to adapt on a dime to continue growing what you're doing. If you
Yeah.
love it,
That's true. Yeah, adapting is very important. So what exactly, when would you say you got into like photography and lighting and all that? Because if the viewers don't know, you are an amazing person when it comes to the lights. Is there a professional term for that? for people who aren't familiar with rave lighting?
Yeah, LD lighting designer.
Got you,
LD.
got you.
Right back here we have the Grandime tool full size. This is the number one software in the world for lights. So I use all the state of the art equipment, all the best software in the world to control the infrastructure that you were kind of able to see. You didn't get a chance to see the stage in the back, but there's a good portion of people that
You're
got to see
talking
that.
about the location in OptiView that you had, right?
Yeah, area in the back with the main stage. That is something that not the people that went to Longwood got to see, but the Orlando people when they'd come over. And I was still very private, it was very private business back then. I only opened to the public for 2.5 years throughout the whole thing. The rest of it was R&D, private, and not open to the public. So I decided to open to the public once we got a lot of the R&D done. A long time later, about
Okay,
12, 13.
for anyone who isn't aware, because we haven't gotten to this part yet, and I just want to hold off on that, he is talking about a location that he had in Orlando. It was an immersive art museum, and it was an amazing fucking place. Like, literally, no other place in Orlando is like that. But let's hold up on that right now. I just want to still kind of talk a little bit about before OptiView.
Sure.
So yeah, so what you're also an amazing photographer. When did you start like developing that skill?
Ooh, that was also very young, probably like 14. I started
Wow.
messing with equipment. And back when it was analog boards and VCRs, and I just always been into tech, and it's because I got to live through it, like live through the innovation of it. Like a lot of you guys are born into it already, but I lived through it being crap to getting better and the evolution of it.
Yeah,
So
photography has definitely evolved like crazy.
yeah, and I do good work, and I'm very I don't if I can get to come out of the camera as clean as possible, or I do the least amount of work in post is what my goal is. So that way, most of the things just come off the camera. We go into Lightroom or Photoshop and do a few things, but generally I don't have to do a ton of correcting because I'm trying to get it as good as I can right out of the camera. And that way, that lighting and patience and planning and things like that. I released a new album on the Facebook OptiView Entertainment account that shows like 1,500 pictures. You're in there, just stuff I would go around taking random stuff, and then also people wanted to maybe do a music video, some kind of content in the space, and then if we want to do out some photos, we'll do photos of them as well, so they can have something to for their portfolio. So I'm taking a lot of pictures of people, men and women, throughout the years, couples, groups like that. And you want to do that. You want to grab the content creation,
Create
social
a
media side.
portfolio, basically.
You want to make sure you run it real good. You want to make sure you do your best to have quality control on that side of the business. And it's hard when you have so many roles, because when I opened up Longwood, we had a lot of issues with that location. 14 months delayed to get open, so a lot of payroll and marketing budget was hammered, so I wasn't able to do a lot of the things out of the gate that I needed to. So then we tried to rely, like, what can we do to really get the word out? So went to the promoter route, which there was a good handful of good ones and then a few bad ones, but and so that never really had to worry about having a promoter for the type of business it is, because it really wasn't supposed to be a rave place or a party place or anything like that. It's supposed to be just a content creation, film, lounge, and social chill, retail, and service, which is what I've normally done. And actually, I make more off of retail and service than I ever did having a venue open for hanging out and stuff. But I
Yeah.
still enjoy that part more than busting my ass doing installations. Look at this
Yeah.
dog real. Look at that.
What's your dog's name?
This one's Bella.
Oh,
Bella, and you can say
that's my
Belly.
sister's name. You know, Bella, it means beautiful in Spanish.
Yep, and this baby girl. This is the rescue, and her hair's nice and long because now where we are is winter. So
Mm.
yeah, good. We got to keep it. Okay, enough
So,
about
was
that. And
there any other hobbies that you had when you were younger?
they misbehaved. They misbehaved with this. Just working with tech and being a nerd,
Have you
and
ever like have you always been in that? Did you ever work any like normal like 9 to 5s? Like my first job was like Walmart. Like did you ever get into that or were you kind of just did your parents
online.
help you support your financial needs when it came to your hobbies?
Yeah. So Walmart, I mean, not Walmart. I didn't do the Walmart thing, but McDonald's. I worked at McDonald's for like 4 or 5 months when I was like maybe
Oh, so
17.
you know what it's like in that part of the world.
Then I worked a lot in the family business before that and during that little, and then so I grew up with a stepdad that has a very entrepreneurial mindset. So I enjoyed working for the business and the family business and helping it out. And at 18, I moved to Florida and I started working at Sears and they loved me there. And I did, sales and loss prevention there and had a good time. But just and I got into car sales, which was really good. I made a lot of money. You can make, back in the day, make
Wait,
six.
sorry, you did loss preventions. You said in Walmart?
Loss prevention at
So you were the
Sears.
people
Started
that
out
wait, Walmart or Sears?
Sears.
Oh,
Yeah, I started.
so you were the people that would like be in disguise, like making sure nobody's
I
stealing?
was going down, I'd go chase you out and whatever. But that wasn't like it. That was in a different part of Florida, which was more chill. So I started in Sears at Florida Mall, and then I went to Sears in Brooksville, Florida. But those weren't the best paying jobs. I wanted to get something was missing. I felt something missing, so I got back into being an entrepreneur. But after that came some really good paying jobs working for the car business and making a
Mm-hmm.
lot of money and selling cars. I feel like 2, 3 cars a day back in the day. It was like I was good. They cost me the gross king. I built a lot of value, and then after that, I got into selling luxury furniture, which this was doing before 2008. So everybody was spending money like no problem. You're making six figures like no problem. So you take all the money you made and then invest in the real estate property, and then sell that when you buy it real cheap back in the day. And those are some. So it's a lot of there was some money made in previous jobs, and then real estate money from some real estate sold. And then when I got into lighting and stuff, I would just go and look for stuff that was broken. I'd go to like Goodwill, I'd go to the pawn shops, I'd go and I want something broke, give it to me broken, and I'd fix it, and then I'd buy it
Awesome.
for 10 cents on the dollar. Yeah, if it's light that might cost $3,000, I'd buy it for 10 cents on the dollar, and be able to then that's how I started to be able to show what I do with lights and visuals and screens and stuff. And
So
um,
everything was self-taught.
yeah, I would just, well, I was taking apart equipment when I was young, very, very young. I was taking apart like VCRs, TVs, even when I was like 12, 13. Just, I enjoyed like looking into this alien world. It was like when I'd open up a piece of equipment, it was like alien to me. And I like a lot of spacey, alien, abstract, weird stuff that, it's hard to explain. And so I didn't know anything about it, but it was awesome and interesting. And so I like that kind of
Yeah.
outer space
No,
stuff. And
yeah, yeah.
that's why the venue, I'm just, and then so I learned how to fix stuff on my own. Yeah, but then YouTube came along later, and you could learn through that and forums and online forums and stuff. And having a BMW as like my first car, you had to learn how to fix your own shit if you wanted to be able to have that kind of car. So
On
I drove BMW.
God.
Yeah, I drove mostly BMW, but I buy the sevens, the real nice ones, and so I'm doing all this stuff, engine work, ripping apart engines, doing all this mechanical stuff. So I learned a lot about mechanics, and through that from just a young age. And my stepdad knew a lot about mechanics, so I started learning about mechanics probably like 16, and then I think my first Beamer was like 16, 17, but it was an old one. It was not very like $4,000, but $4,000, and back in the day was a lot. It's like maybe 15 now. So it
Yeah.
was a nice one shit, but it's still those cars need a lot of work. You're gonna buy one, it's used. You do your own work, or your wallet. You just break your wallet. Break my wallet, BMW. So you don't want that to happen. So it's just best to learn how to do things with your hands, and that really gave me the backbone to be able to handle what I do with the venue and fix things on a dime. There could be a problem before opening. I'll fix it before we open. 30 minutes, boom. I usually can handle anything about 20, 30 minutes, whatever technical issue
Mm-hmm.
that's going on in a lot of places that want to have something of that scale. They really just can't afford to do it themselves, or know how, or pay. So they're very worried. They'd rather just put some furniture and hang up some speakers and some tables and have a bar and call it a place. But the problem there is that you're very limited in what you can do and what the audience is craving more, and they want more people people with money and they're not necessarily the most creative sometimes. They just feel it's an expense. It's an expense to hire a company to come and do that. Well, then learn it if you don't want to hire it. But then they're too busy partying and going hanging out and whatever. So I wasn't out there partying and hanging out. I was always working diligently on my craft every day.
Hell
You know,
yeah. Good for
hours.
you.
That's what I do, and that's why I live at the venue. That's why I got into the RV thing
Yeah,
because I want to
so
be able to.
let's shift to venue because obviously not a lot, like some viewers aren't from Orlando, so let's explain to them exactly what so I met you because I had visited your venue and I messaged you on Instagram because I was streaming a lot on Kick at the time. Sorry, I almost said Discord. I was streaming a lot on Kick at the time and I thought it was the coolest place ever to stream at. I knew my viewers would enjoy it, and was so into dressing like with my rave outfits and stuff like that. It was
Yeah,
cool backgrounds. I'm gonna insert pictures and videos so they can know what we're talking about.
yeah, yeah,
So explain to me OptiView, which is the location. It was an immersive art museum. And what just inspired you to like when you were opening it, was it like what was your thought process? Like was it going to be like more targeted as a museum or was it like you said earlier like you wanted it to be like a lounge place to make content? Was that what you wanted it to be
yeah.
more like?
Well, always been the original like content driven retail sales mostly with a side of some lounge and social, but we did more lounging and social that we normally do as a company just because we weren't able to finish up the permitting things that we needed to do because of landlord, which is now in alleged landlord obstruction now in the court of law getting dealt with. So but what made me want to do it was cannabis. I have an article that I had published in High Times a long time ago that talks about why I started it. But basically, I'm giving a link to later. But the High Times article basically goes into how marijuana enhances all the senses, the way you feel, compassion, usually, hopefully, for most, and then like the bass, the physical, and the 40 and 5 the elements that are in the room, and the thought, all that, the way you hear. So I wanted all this technology to be combined to enhance all of that. And
Mm-hmm.
so I always play like really weird abstract music throughout some of the stuff. And we didn't, and we had a lot of good DJs come through and play a lot of awesome music, but I didn't do a ton of, I wanted to be able to do more of the immersive nights, but I didn't do as many as I should have. But basically that's the core of it, is like going into a space and feeling elevated, whether you're sober or you're high on some of your cannabis medicine prescribed. You want to feel elevated. You had a long week at work. You want to enjoy something that's going to be more out of body experience. And so I would see how that stuff would make me feel really elevated, like the music, the
Yeah.
bass.
Yeah.
You can
EDM
put it on.
music does that to you for real.
You could be in your house and you put on some music. You're driving in the car, whatever. So I wanted to combine all this other stuff, and that's what it was. But it came from, I want stuff that is from all over the world and it's not cookie cutter and it's unique. So
Mm-hmm.
I then went on a mission to find all kinds of art locally and from abroad that was just so abstract and unique, to bring it into one place. And that's still,
Yeah, how
I
long did it take you
started,
to get all that stuff? Because there was a lot of shit in
it
there.
took years. Yeah, it was
Years?
years,
How,
years.
do
Yeah.
you have an estimate of how many years?
Well, the whole thing. So I started under New Dimensions USA, which was started in 2010. So it's about 15 years. Yeah, well, before OptiView started, like 12, and then about 12 years to get to where people got to see it, people got to come and start experiencing it. But like on that scale in Longwood, But
Where were you
um,
keeping everything? Like in a storage unit in the
I
meantime?
had a house and then a
You
studio.
just cut out.
I
Sorry, what'd you say?
houses. I have a 2-story house. I had the whole upstairs decked out. I got these historical pictures. It was awesome. Lights on the floor, everything lit up,
Oh yeah,
dance.
definitely send me those pictures so I can show them.
Well, yeah, they're a little old, from back in the day. But yeah, it
That's fine.
started out as 3D renderings. Actually, things started out as 3D renderings back in the day. I got those too. Like it was a
Oh
vision
wow.
put into 3D renderings
That's
on
awesome.
yeah, and then from there there's a one car garage, and then a studio size place, and then a 2-story house, and then into warehouses, and then into a few more warehouses, and then Longwood. Longwood was okay. I'm out of the testing. I'm out of the beta. I'm out of the accumulating everything I need. I'm out of all the training I had to do, and now it's time to go to the next step and really set this thing off. And it was perfect timing too, because pandemic was slowing down, but we had obviously the problem right when I was ready to get open. I had a 14-month delay right when I was ready to get open. So that then everybody, when I did get open, their budgets were, they didn't have as much money as they had when I first started to get open. So when I got open finally the second time, people were more stingy with their money, and then we had no payroll. We had a very slim payroll budget. It had gotten blown on being closed, and then so did the advertising. So we had to then think of how can we do it with people helping promote us through the promotion world, and that is mostly like promoters aren't going to promote a museum night. They're going to promote a dance night, a party night. So that it was like I had to adapt. Okay, I didn't want to do as many of those, but we did them. But that's kind of like how I guess the EDM scene found us, is through that.
Yeah,
But we
you were
always
telling me you weren't in the rave scene at first. It just kind of happened because your location kind of
club.
it had a lot of things that kind of target ravers.
Well, I think it's great. I love that, and being able to entertain anyone, whatever they're into. But the side of OptiView, the essence, the core is the healing part, the spiritual worship that not everybody got to experience, but we did have a lot of healing nights too, and private nights and things like that. So the the spiritual part of going into the space with ambient and chill and tribal and dance and meditation and healing, and experience all this out of body art and sound and music, drum circles and spiritual talk. That's the essence of it. That, and then the show and going through the light shows and feeling uplifted from the light shows. But yeah, everything else is just something that people can go and enjoy on their own and walk around and see everything. And we give them
Yeah.
time to always look around and get photos and pictures. But basically, like a place to really, because during pandemic, that's kind of where, all right, we need a place for people to create content, because during pandemic we had to have,
So
it
you
was more.
opened after the pandemic?
No, I was privately open for many years before pandemic. Private, it
Got
was
you. Okay, I didn't
private.
know that.
Yeah, it was always a private space, and mostly retail service, and then we decided to go public when we went to Longwood, but we were private when the pandemic came, and it was like, okay, people can't gather, they can't really do a lot of the gatherings, so we needed to do a space that would be more for content and film and production again too, which I know a lot about anyway and have a lot of equipment. So then it was like, okay, let's get the sets. Let's build these nice sets that are really elaborate and off the hook. And then people just like, well, I want to sit over here and be in VIP, or I want to get amazing pictures here. I want to do a music video here. And so then that's renting out the space, and that brought a lot of income too. But more so than anything is always still the service and retail, is like installation and rental back before pandemic. Those were the core of the money. I just got, I'm tired. A lot of us were tired of breaking our backs and setting up equipment all the time, bringing it down and ruining stuff here and there, and being in a rushed situation, because when you do rental, it's a rushed situation. So I suspended rental. We're not doing rental, but retail. If people need to buy a setup, I think if you came to that hotel where I did a massive install, and that I made like
Oh yeah, that's
125,000
a
on.
different. Yeah, we can get into that if you. I didn't know if you wanted to get into that, but
Oh, I don't care. But yeah, like so
we'll get
the
into
venue,
that after OptiView talk. Because I don't want
yeah,
to
the
confuse them.
venue, being open to the public was just, it was more like a gift to the public. I didn't make nearly as much off that as I do at retail and service.
Okay.
But I like, for me, it's not about the money. It's more about doing something you care and love and more passionate about, because then you don't work a day in your life. That retail
Of
is
course,
service
yeah.
work. Running the OptiView is fun. It's not work. So that's why I'm still going to work on getting it open. But I've been busy the last 2 years healing a lot of stuff that happened with the whole scene, and
Okay.
uh,
Yeah. So back to everything. So obviously, with OptiView and everything, Like you said, it you never expected to be in the rave scene or just attract the rave scene. So as a raver myself. Obviously, OptiView is very diverse, and it
Yeah.
also brought other types of people. Like as someone in the sex work industry, I was able to take really awesome pictures and cool shit for my clients over there. How do you feel about sex workers? Are you like, do you support them, or do you think it's kind of? And I'm not gonna take anything in offense. Like I've heard whatever.
I'm not against it. I think as long as things are done safely, I could benefit from safety and regulation, so they're free of pimps and disease, and possible disease that can happen and things like that.
Yeah,
So
so like sex
I think
work on the internet versus like actual prostitution, cuz I'm
I
not
think
in the
both.
prostitution era.
I think both shouldn't be considered taboo because you don't want someone to do it on safety. I think here's the deal: people are going to do what they're going to want to do, regardless if you tell them no or not. And if you tell them no, they want to do it more. So in places that things aren't taboo, like all drugs, and there's a documentary called "Breaking the Taboo," and Morgan Freeman narrates it. In places where things are legal, like all drugs, and they provide safe place for people to get clean and all that, they have less drug abuse, less mental issues, and more healthy society. And a lot of them even know, a lot of the population there that are young don't even know the slang that we know here. So I think it's things that if someone wants to do something with their body, it's if they could do it more safely and more of a way that is regulated to a way that's not overly regulated, but like safety, where they don't have to rely on pimps, to be probably safer for them. But I'm spiritual, but not religious. So I'm sure that some people might think that's a bad thing, a way of thinking. But we got to look at the harm that prohibition has caused, which we all know about. So when you say things to a person, they want to do it more when you say no. So it's a
Mhm.
reverse psychology. Okay, sure, here you get clean, and they actually provide in certain countries the drugs, but clean, with clean needles to try to get them and wean them off, versus people coming off things in a way that's very chaotic. But that's a broken society, and that's the way things are like that on purpose in certain parts of the world
Yeah,
because it's
but I wouldn't say like all people in sex work are drug addicts like that.
no.
Like
I'm just comparing it to taboo, like
yeah.
how in that where they legalized all drugs, there's less of it, and where
Got you,
people when
got you. Okay, I understand what you're trying to
you know
say.
what I mean.
Yeah.
Drugs and they are. I'm just saying that when things are not taboo, things are easy. They can be more healthy. They can be more regulated in a healthy way versus the streets regulating it.
Yeah.
You know,
You're right.
because
Yeah.
legal, I would go and buy stuff from these college kids, and I got stuff that was laced a couple times, and I'm trying to push other things on me. And so prohibition, and we know this now through studies, prohibition creates the gateway effect, where you
Mhm.
are into other things because of not having. And I understand that overly regulated ain't good, but there needs to be some order to things, or there's chaos, right? So now that we have recreational and medical, it's added a lot less stigma and a lot more responsibility to doing that habit too, because even that habit can be out of control. Even food's out of control. You go to the grocery store, 90% of stuff in there's poison. So you could be 500 pounds in no time, right? And unhealthy and die early. So you got to be careful even with the food. You got to watch
Yeah.
out all.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, for sure. And then so also I wanted to ask, and I forgot to ask about this. You said you grew up like in a very religious household. Do you feel like you got or suffered from any trauma from dealing with a very religious parent? Because I know a lot of people out there unfortunately do have a lot
Yeah,
of religious trauma, and I feel
sure.
like it's a very important topic to speak on
Yeah.
because a lot of people are very traumatized from their religion,
Mm-hmm.
and not a lot of people talk about it because you can
Mm-hmm.
be, they think you're talking shit about the religion, but really you're just talking shit about the experience that someone had. So do you feel like it shaped your life in some way or made you, like crafted you a different way than if you weren't born into that religion?
I'm I'm not so I didn't have a traumatic religious upbringing, but I've met people that have had that, and they go to hard drugs and stuff sometimes. But the religious thing was at a young age. I learned not to care what people think or to try to be a pleaser. Um, Obviously, it's nice when people do enjoy and they show that they're pleased with what you do. But I learned not to worry about what others think. So I didn't. I would just be like laughing in my inside about my parents trying to make me do this and that in the church. I'd be like, okay, whatever. I'll
And so
just get
you would
creative.
just do it just to like
I
make them
would just
happy?
laughing in my mind, like, get the fuck. This is primitive, archaic,
Yeah.
And religion is good. There's good religion, and I
Yeah.
agree. Like there's good things. It's good people that want to have guidance, purpose, guide, have structure. Some people need structure, and it's not bad. But there are people that become overly devout and very obsessive, and it's unhealthy, right? You don't want to be stuck in a negative or obsessive situation that's unbalanced because the mind, the brain, is the neurons. Everything wants to have discover more and be creative, and that's how we were able to grow as a species and expand by being creative and then going outside the box and creating and doing these things. And so sometimes it can be very limiting, and then those are the type of parents that limit, and you're going to do this way and this and that, and you get crazy, and then it's just people are they can be really wild and they're overly religious. So I haven't had any trauma, but it was just a place I would just go there and be laughing inside and like whatever, man, this is primitive or whatever, and thinking that I'm just get creative. I'll
Mhm.
just be I'd be like creating shit, and like that's how I create. I think that's why I have such certain creative elements, because of like growing up in such a boring church where I was just like I'd like the walls would be moving. That's how creative. Like at a young age, like I wasn't even on any drugs. It was just like things I could
That's
listen. I could.
yeah, that's awesome actually. You kind of found a way to
So
like escape while you were there.
yeah, I got creative from it. So I'm thankful of it to help me be a very creative guy, and very hardworking guy. And but for people that are in certain churches, yeah, and even in the Jehovah's Witness church, they can be a little bit overly hard on the kids, and they get crazy. And I've seen a lot of that even in the church too. Where I just didn't care. Learned not to care. You got to learn not to care. That's the key. That's the only way you'll make it far, is when you learn to not give a shit. Because there's already too many things that are going to come at you from all directions that you need to give a shit about, that you're not going to see coming. So the moment you don't care about what that person thinks and that person, I don't give a fuck where I'm at. I'll act a fool if I want. If me and some people are going to get a good high on it, and get laugh inside. But I don't care, But I'm never going to be the type of person that disrespects or does anything really harsh. But I have so many clips of I could put on YouTube just messing around, fucking around, probably get millions of hits. But I just don't care. But I care enough to respect you and everything else. But I don't care But the moment you show me that I shouldn't respect you, then I might fuck with you a little bit more than would normally. Because
Mhm.
that's like my thing. Okay, you want to be little me and you want to be that way towards me. I'll give you a little bit of I don't care if I look like the dumbest guy around or the biggest prick. I'll sometimes maybe give you a little bit of your own medicine. But in a way, I don't have time for it. So
Mhm.
I got to move on to other things. But when it comes to life and what I was doing, but I never give them too much time. You never want to give the haters too much time, but they are good motivation to push forward. That's why when you're on the right track. You don't get hate when you're doing stuff next level.
Yeah.
It's when you are. Like you
Yeah.
get haters here, and that's how you know you're on the right path. So if I was doing selling lemonade, in front lawn or something, people wouldn't, give a shit. They wouldn't care. Like they wouldn't try to stop me. But when you become an entrepreneur and you're the boss and you got to fire people and they become disgruntled for doing stupid, fucked up shit. But this now moving forward, I'd say the best thing is people learn AI and learn how it can help you, and use it, and ask it anything you're going through, and what you need to do next in your life. It'll just say, hey, here's my life, give it your whole story, and what should I do next? What's a good strategy? And that shit's powerful as fuck. So you gotta use it. It's I wish I had AI 15 years ago just to be able to ask it for advice and the next step and what to do, because knowledge is power. And if I had that, billionaire
So
Bob would be a billion.
you support AI?
I know that there's good and bad to it, but
Mhm.
we hope that we're going to be on the good streak of things. But with
Yeah.
any evolution, anything that evolves, like it's gonna have a downfall. Like there used to be people that lit lights with lanterns in the as a street light was lanterns. They go out and horse and buggy and light the lantern, right? But that got rid of those jobs. We want to get rid of mundane, monotonous jobs that don't give people purpose. I agree with that. So we want to give them other things to do that are better, so that their mind can be more stimulated. That versus being someone that's working on an assembly line doing stupid shit a robot can do. So yeah, it's going to cost jobs. I understand that, but that's part of evolution. Just like when a guy was lighting a lantern, and when electricity came out, all these things, these are things that happen. And right now, AI is something that can be good or bad depending on the people that are behind it. I can't control who's behind it, but I know I'm going to use it for good. And that's just saying it's a tool right now, and whether it goes away or stays, you can use it to get creative, do creative stuff, learn a lot of shit, come out with stuff. I mean, there is a lot of AI videos that are fake, so we don't know what's real or fake anymore. But the one thing is, I like to really just make sure my content is as authentic as possible. But I'm going to use AI to do things to it, but I'll make sure that people understand that and they'll know. I'm going to use a
Okay.
more video editing tool, an advice tool, a lawyer tool, contract writing tool. Maybe it can help with some automation on a lot of things with AI agents. But the thing is, like, you want to be can't be against something that's going to be so evolutionary change. We have no choice in the matter. Me and you have no choice that it's going to happen or not. So we know it's going to happen. They're already putting out all the buildings and doing all the permitting and building, putting a lot of money into it. It's going to happen. We can't say no to it. So we got to just try to all unite on it being a good thing versus being against it. And then the people that are going to do something bad, then they have more ability to do that. So people just got to be united to, like, it's coming. It's that part of evolution, just like anything else. And so it's important
Yeah,
to.
so speaking about the haters, I really do want to touch on the subject because I feel like it's very important. Obviously, when I first met you, I thought you were the coolest person ever. I am going to school for event management, and the events that you had in your venue were like, that's literally what I would love to do for my career. But unfortunately, when people started seeing me hanging out with you, I realized you had fucking haters. And that's how you know you're doing good, when you got haters, when you got people watching you. And I just want to touch on that. Like, there was some like weird ass allegations and shit that people would say. That shit was weird. But I really do want to touch on these allegations. I think it's important to talk about this, because if we don't talk about this, I don't want people to think that we're just like avoiding shit.
Sure,
So
yeah.
obviously there was allegations about you and the venue. There was allegations that you were like drugging girls or something like that.
No, that
And um
projection. A promoter we got rid of that did stuff by where was it at Baldwin Park on Monday, as people project
mhm.
what they're, and that's why the venue got shut down early when it was going to do the last EDC before becoming something else. And so, and the people that supported certain things are wanting to keep their free spot that they go to and get VIP, or where they can do those kind of behavior and drug people, or where they can have their spot to sell drugs. But they didn't like that heat had been something that's been brewing for years, long before we took this guy and tried to help him on a Friday night. But again, we never had to deal with promoters in the history of the company until
So
we
would you say that that one guy was the one that started all these allegations and these rumors?
people to get stuff, airtime on stage. And but the thing is, he promised a lot to them, and that fell on its face. So they became his own group canceled him after he lost that. After that club closed, we're not mentioning who or what or anything
Yeah,
like that.
and this is all
But
alleged
no,
too.
no, and like, so DJs had not been getting paid even at that venue, and money was getting embezzled back then, and they were getting treated. Women were getting treated like shit. Even a lot of females could say that they sometimes do sexual favors. They would even just get on the stage, or we get invited to stay the night over. I mean, this is women saying these things, and then other
Yeah.
women are saying I've gotten to there, and then they're saying other men are saying how they got drugged. Even men got drugged. So we and there was just a lot of. I think it was it could have been a better thing if it didn't have the toxicity that happened from some of the leadership on certain days, but we can't control that. But projection, people project when they're guilty of certain things, and that was just their way to buy more time and maybe a different spot or their spot or whatever. But it was coming to an end. Their little drug spot, their spot to sell drugs, back to rage and be crazy. And I understand like some of these people come from 2008 as kids, like you and you guys come from a period where it was a traumatic part of the country where everything was parents had bills and finances. I mean, I lost like 80% of my pay when the recession hit. So that causes a lot of stress when you guys were young. And that kind of energy might be something that is trauma within that generation because of 2000. People that may have been really young during 2008, depending on how their financial situation with the household was, But I grew up in a household where we didn't always have enough. We had a decent amount. I grew up poor. I didn't grow up rich or wealthy. I grew up, generally kind of poor, and then at the end of it, we got a little bit better off. But it didn't allow. My parents didn't fight like that, but
So,
there's
would you say all these haters and all these allegations started after OptiView closed down? Or was
no,
it
no. It
during?
while we were open. It happened after we first got finally open.
Uh-huh.
It was we got open, and the guy wanted to come around do some nights there. There's absolutely. I mean, I'm not trying to look like boasting, but look, I don't need. I look good. I don't need to rape people. It's why for what? I look good. I can get it organically. I get it the right way. You know what I mean? Like, come on, let's be real here. I got nice skin. I look good. I'm 40 fucking 1 years old. I look better than some people that were 20 years old talking this kind of shit. They look old, wrinkles. It's listen. I take care of myself. Before I did a red light there before I came on the camera with you. Like I take care, I eat, I cook, But there's a toxic society it's the toxic food, it's the toxic music, it's the toxic friendships, the groups, the toxicity of Western culture, which is look at me and being ego and narcissistic. There's a lot of toxicity with the food and the mind, and it's all one big thing that in 2008 with these people that were younger that maybe grew up during that and all the trauma from that maybe they can't understand that maybe it's affecting who they are now. But you got to learn to push past it. I've been through a lot of trauma stuff too. Fuck it, I'm gonna get back up and I'm gonna work my ass off hard because the effort that you put in is what someone else ain't gonna do maybe. So if you put more effort than the next guy or whatever, and you just keep working, capitalism's all about, it's out of control, it's not balanced, but basic capitalism is about who's going to put the most physical effort into something, and then that stands out from the competition. But that's all a bunch of bullshit. Well, I don't
Yeah,
need
and none of the people ever like tried to
I'm a good looking guy. What the fuck do I need to do that? The problem is that these guys that were saying that wanted to just get more clout. They wanted to have more time on stage. They wanted to get special favors at the club, and they wanted to try to uplift their brand on me. But all they did was give me a bunch of free advertising. I love it. It's great. It's free. Who gives a fuck? Warren Buffett, he had a lot of shit happen, and everybody's had stuff happen. Everybody's had stuff happen to them where when you're doing something big, people want to come and start problems because they just don't want to do it for themselves. But you want to be hating, but you're not putting the same effort. You're not getting up working 16 hours a day. You want to live in your nice house and your car and all that. You're not I got out of living in a house, living in a fucking RV, and I love it because I can live where I work and just move it there and just put in 18-hour day and fucking kill it. Where someone's got to drive home and deal with this and that, and I've made sure to be very careful and not have kids. And plus, I was raised by a female, my mom. So she taught me how to be very careful with women. And I am the complete opposite of someone that would need to ever even think of doing such a
So
thing.
I have a question. Was it specific girls that would come out, or was it guys trying to tell these girls stories?
It was all guys
It was
that were.
all so no girl ever came out and
There's,
was
no,
like,
there's
this happened to me.
nothing. There's nothing. There's not one. No one can ever and will never be able to name such a thing. Why? There's no reason.
Yeah,
Like,
and no girl ever tried to press charges or go to the
no, it's
cops.
all a bunch of bullshit from someone that was stealing, and they fucked up communities. They fucked up cliques. They fucked up the scene out there for a lot. But listen, at the end of the day, is if they want to limit who they are in their career and who their name is by falling behind false shit. You should never go behind stuff you can't back. Dude, if you can't back it with real shit and real evidence, don't get behind it. But people want to get behind certain things to get more stage time, to get more special favors at that nightclub and shit like that, and to jump on the dick of this drama. And they want to try to get the numbers of it. All it does is like, there's people that have fucking dive bars that won't touch any of these people that were involved with the drama that fucked me up. But that's fine, because I needed a break after 15 years to reprogram and do. And listen, when I come out again hitting, it's gonna be so next level. I ain't worried about it, and I take that to the bank. And when I won't ever work with those people ever again that did those things, I'll never forgive them. And other people that are watching me and looking at it, and we'll see what happens later, they'll know the story and they won't want to work with it either. So that's just, you limit yourself and who you can become by getting behind bullshit for the entertainment purposes of it all and the camaraderie. There's people that will get together that hate each other, but they'll get together, talk shit about someone, and you don't do that. You just like, look, you want to get somewhere, work your ass off, put it in, and do the job. But if people want to be hanging out and partying and all that shit, then you're not going to get there. But a lot of the people that are saying these things were just clout chasers. They were jealous that, look, let's face it, you said when you went into the venue, you loved it, place to create content. People always looking to get free, how they get free. It's just, we live in an opportunistic place. So how can I get this guy to do something for me for free with his equipment for my nightclub over here or my bar or my music video? I can get some private time in this motherfucker, right? How can I do it? Well, I'm gonna jump on his dick and get it, right? So people jump on people that have stuff that's next level. They want to jump on your dick, guys and women, just to see how they can get like whatever they want to do, content, film, whatever, production, a music video, professional birthday party. So, and sometimes they want to get to know you more. That's all.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm like, just because I have my own business doesn't make it okay that someone that doesn't have a business can go and be a whore and fuck whoever he wants. But I still have a business. If someone wants to hang out and we have a common, who cares? That's, no one has a right to say that I can't be a fucking human when I've worked 15 years to build it. Now look, let's say this. Let's get on to this. Everything that a man does is to provide and reproduce and procreate and all that. I'm not trying to have kids or anything, but not at this time. But that's biology, right? So when we get a career and we learn about this and we get that license, so we buy that car, we get our hair done. Even a girl, she go out to the club, you do her hair, she's single. Well, look good. I want to try to get me a man, right? That's what she's looking for. So same thing with a guy. I'm gonna get this nice career. I'm gonna make money. I'm gonna get the car. Scarface. The line. First you get the money, then you get the car, whatever. So that happens. When you start making something that's bomb and successful and it's entertainment, it's people want to jump on you and try to see what they can, get out of you for free or get to know you more. People want a free ride. I don't blame it. There's studies that show why, women or like younger might like an older person, but I'm a 21 and up rule, and I might have to raise that to like 27 and up. We'll see. Too much drama sometimes with what people think. They want to think bad about it.
Yeah.
People want to think bad for, someone that obviously that's a different age. Like I may have to just change that and not allow it. But I'm very nice. I'm very nice and understand. I mean, I've let people, whether it was a male or a woman, have opportunity to create and do something of their dreams in my spot. I didn't say no. I'm very, very, very like easily manipulated to back then, and like giving and just be giving and letting them, sometimes they'll take advantage.
Yeah,
but I
you
want
were
people.
very giving at the venue. Like you would do free photo shoots, things that people would charge for, and you'd you were very
Well,
giving.
I learned that giving allows you to also get a lot. So when I've given, I've always get tenfold, because if you have the ability and the mind and the ability to do something to help another person, if you can do it when you're able to, only when you're able to, and don't let people take advantage. But when you're able to, and you can, and it's not going to really take too much effort, you should do it, because you can get something in return. The free publicity, the good karma, simmer down over there. So I've always been very giving, and you have to give to receive. So but someone might see that and find it very attractive, and whatever.
Yeah, and since you said young girls are, especially when they see a businessman, they were throwing themselves at you. How do you feel about age gap relationships? Like, do you support like age, like let's say like your age with like a 19-year-old or someone who just turned 18? Do you support that, or do you think that should be off limits?
I think 21 and up is better, but teach their own on that. If
Mhm.
they can try to tame that. And then to get into relationships is you want to have a relationship that supports your dream and endeavors and things like that. And I had to recently, when I broke up with my ex, it was finally, I was a little more free, because you
Mhm.
want someone to have that trust. You want someone that's going to help you in your business. Come here, puppy. But with someone's very young, it's sometimes a little hard. You got to get this dog up here. She's here. Says keep fighting. So
Mhm.
when someone's young, they might not be all developed, but there's a lot of mature young people too. But I'm not against it. But
Mhm.
I think it's legal. But I feel 21 and up is better. But yeah, there are, and I absolutely don't blame, because I've helped a lot of businesses grow. I've worked with thousands of businesses, and the thing is, some of these guys, I'll see them with this young chick, and this guy is so ugly. He's fat. He has no chin. He's just, like, and they're with this guy for the money, whatever. So, like, I mean, I absolutely don't blame anyone for maybe wanting to have certain attraction to me as the owner of something really cool. But I wouldn't say they were throwing themselves at me or anything. I was far too busy running the fucking place on a shoestring budget with a lot less staff than I'm normally used to being able to help me. So I had to do a lot of roles, there, and from taking pictures and social media, running equipment, helping at the door, going back to the back room and helping in the kitchen when shit was going. Just a lot for one, for me and a few people when we couldn't have everyone we needed because we had to open 14 months late. Forty
Yeah.
thousand a month for that long. That was how much it was. 40,000 a month to have that place closed. No,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that substantial amount of your payroll and advertising, right? So I was too busy to even notice if someone would have been throwing themselves at me or not. I'm
Yeah.
and then like I was they talk shit about me for taking pictures. I think the craziest things, or you're taking pictures of the people. Like, fuck you, that's social media, you gotta do it. So the haters wanted me to do, they didn't want me to grow, so they wanted to make anything that I did do considered bad and
Yeah.
taboo. Not
Mhm.
taboo to create content of your fucking place when you have the best, sickest cameras to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So why not? Who cares? And it's not like, and then say creep or whatever. But no, but here's the thing: if someone says, "Oh, don't talk to that person over there because they're real bad and they're going to steal from you," and this could be like a person that never stole in their life, you're going to go up to them and hold your purse tighter. You're going to be more careful when you walk by them. You're going to have a perception that is skewed. So the moment that perception is skewed, when you're entering the place or not wanting to come, you just looking at someone as they're vile. You just have a bad perception, and that's what they did. They created a bad perception of me. So then, but that all died off. Like after that, after a while, it died off, and I was getting back into swinging things there. But it was the landlord in the county where we couldn't finish a lot of permitting, and that's why I had to inevitably close the place because of them. We were lifting back up again after all that drama because at
Yeah.
the end of the day, those are the facts.
Yeah,
Like
so yeah, I'm glad we were able to cover that because I feel like that was really important. Okay, so yeah, OptiView, the location, like I said, it was an amazing place. I'm gonna have pictures and videos so you guys can see it. I would do anything to have that place back. It was amazing. Do you have any advice for people who want to do what you did? Like, do own these cool ass venues or just get into lighting, photography, like anything that can help someone out that wants to follow your footsteps?
well, it's an expensive career, so you got to clamp down on a lot of things that you don't necessarily need. So that is any bad habits or that really fancy car and living in luxury and go to do the tiny house thing and save on something that costs you the most, right? And I have some hair in my face, and then that would help you be able to have not that stress of trying to work a job and also fund something that is so substantial. You have to clamp down on all expenses in life, which require you to be very frugal and aware of every dollar. And
Mm.
so when you're that way, you know you can't be like a guy that's pimping or whatever. Like a lot of guys that were upset about me were the ones that we call them like pimps. You know, they want to get laid, they want to be chasing pussy all the time. So obviously, when you clamp down and start something like that, you can't have a drug habit.
Yeah, get
You
rid of
can't
bad habits.
you can't have bad habits. You can't be chasing tail. You got to focus on your shit. And that's what I did. I focused every day, and I still do. I focus on my craft, and if people are interested in me as a friendship level or more, it just comes organically. I don't have to look for it. And that's the best thing. I don't look for it. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. My energy is so spent on everything that's behind you and doing what I did at that fucking place and building it. It's so spent. There is no time for
Yeah.
anything for those pimp missions. And I've seen a lot of people where they get everything thrown at them, signed record deals, all the money that they need, all the advertising, and they failed because they're on drug and pussy missions once they get to the fame. And after 15 years, you know, and like running the place, I mean, yeah, I mean, like running something so cool, like if someone's interested, who cares? You know, like I earned that. You know, it's like
Mm-hmm.
someone that earned to fucking buy that Lamborghini and fucking get women like that, whatever. But I'm not. I'm no way, no. Am I interested in being a pimp? Nor have I ever been that way because there's no time, there's no bandwidth, there's no money for it. It's an
Mm-hmm.
expensive thing, and if you're gonna spend on your career, you can't be doing VIP, you can't be buying bottles, you can't be taking girl on a fancy date. So you're automatically xed out from that kind of behavior, right? So, but anyway, I had a relationship for a good majority of running this, building this company. So you know, she's very strict too. You know, we stayed. It was toxic on and out here and there, and good and toxic, which that's why I say you always want to get someone that's supportive of what you're doing. But it's just between the relationship in and out of that, like
I
had my fun
thought
when we were. Yep.
anybody, since you bring up, I didn't know you were in a toxic relationship, and I feel like a lot of people have been in toxic relationships. Can you give any advice on people who might be stuck in a toxic relationship right now, or maybe red flags that you can look out for to see if maybe you are in one and you just didn't notice it?
That'd be a long discussion for another in depth. But you need someone that is. So my relationship wasn't like physically toxic, you
Yeah, I
know,
mean, yeah, things can be
but
mentally
it was.
abusive.
So the mental is can last longer than a bruise, right? It can last for months. It can last for
Wow,
years.
yeah, that's a great way to put it. Holy shit.
To have someone, you know, it can't be mentally abusive and sometimes drug use and not knowing the drug use. So I would say, someone's not acting right that you're with, get them fucking drug tested, see what they're going on, see what they're doing. Like my ex was doing some shit on the side I didn't know about, you know, and that was making her. She can't
Damn.
act. You can't like people that are on stuff they're not supposed to be on. They'll sell their own mom. So what the fuck? They're gonna not sell you out when they sell their own parents out, right? So like you gotta find out what's the root cause of the issues, and a lot of root causes can also be like bad diets, poor diets, you know, imbalances, and so I've actually learned how to like heal the body over the years and have the right balance. And so when people come to me and they could come from a toxic way or toxic state of mind, whether who it is, male or female, and I can help them with. I have helped so many people heal and become more balanced through nutrition, through mindset. There's a lot about me other than just the venue. Like I did these shows called Reflections. We have actually on YouTube, OptiView Entertainment. Reflections show testimonials, healing
I'll make
people with
sure
life.
to link it in the bio if they want to watch
Yep.
it.
You know, it's just you want to be able to heal others, and that's what I would do a lot too with it. But being very giving and all that. So yeah.
Okay. That's thank you. I feel like I wasn't expecting that question, but when I heard you say it, I felt like we had to touch on it just because it really is a real thing going on right now. So many fucking people. I can name people that I know are in toxic relationships right now, and it's like I genuinely feel like when you know somebody who's in a toxic relationship, you really just have to be there for them until they get out of it because it's kind of the same thing as like drug addiction, like you can't force them to get out of it. Like they're the only ones that can help themselves. um so it is a really hard scenario to be in when you have people that are going through it. um I personally, like, my parents, my mom and my stepdad, they had a crazy toxic relationship, and I would always be like, why are you guys together, so it really is something that you don't know what it feels like until you're in those shoes, unfortunately, because then I dealt with it when I was like 17, and it took me like 3 years to get out of it. So yeah, it's a really tough thing, and unfortunately a lot of people fucking go through it. Okay, so let's try to wrap
Just
this up. Is there anything else? Did you want to talk? We low key, like, we might have to do a part two because you have a lot of interesting things about you. Did you want to talk about the hotel real quick, or no? Or
not
do you?
really. Like I just did audio visual install there and
Yeah, here,
made
I'll give a little gist. After OptiView closed, he had joined kind of like a partnership where they were going to do this thing in Orlando. It was going to be, if you know what home base is, it was kind of like that. And it was gonna be like a hotel that has rave, like a rave hotel, basically, right? That's basically what it was gonna be. And it was
mhm.
really cool. He like, I felt like I was on Sweet Life with Zach and Cody, like y'all were living in the hotel. I was getting fixed and everything. Like, I was so excited. I was so fucking excited. And unfortunately, that didn't work out. Not only for you, but for like everyone in that foot, right? Like, it's not happening anymore.
Yeah, the leadership could have been better for the direction of that. I was hoping to become part of helping them lead it, right? But there was too much ego to allow that. So, um,
Yeah, you were the lighting person,
oh,
right?
yeah, I'm just looked at it as a guy that did the incident install and whatever. I mean, I installed that in like 2021, like early 2022, something like that. So they had been having a hard time getting that open long before I closed, and it just a lot of permitting issues. And they have a neighborhood there, so they neighborhood isn't going to allow like
Yeah, the
loud music.
noise and stuff. It was just a bad idea.
They should have picked. You got to an opening an entertainment business. Very, very important that you make sure you pick an area that's not by a neighborhood, has the right zoning for your business that you're putting in there. So when I looked at the one in Longwood, there used to be a church there. It used to have like assembly. So at assembly, it's not near neighborhoods. You can be loud, and that's a big mistake if you open something that is not zoned for what you're trying to do in it, and come back and fuck you up. So there's
Yeah.
seen people that had that happen to their business, and even in the Longwood area. But you have so that's a big one there. You don't want to get trying to put all your effort into something like that, and then you get it all set up, and then you're screwed. But we were screwed because of other reasons. But we're dealing with all that in court now. But yeah, it's make sure you got the right zoning to put the effort in something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah. I wish that shit would have fucking that would have been cool. But, everything
Well,
happens for a reason, and
I
you're
had the right
on.
had a bad landlord. We had the right zoning, just a bad landlord.
Yeah, like I said, everything happens for a reason, and you're on to bigger and better things. Oh, Bella. Um,
There.
is there anything else you want to talk about? I know you're like future, what you have planned on the future. You kind of want to keep it low key because it's all in planning, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's low key. Yeah.
So everything's low key right now for the future, but just from your past, your past, I'm trying to think of the word, your history in the EDM scene and whatever, whatever, you've delivered awesome things. So I can only imagine what the fuck else you have planned. I'm
The
excited. Um, so
next
yeah,
level.
hell yeah, yeah. You're always like fucking 40 steps ahead, which is really cool. Um, but yeah. So, is it you don't have anything else to add or anything?
Just get a relationship, be in a relationship that supports what you're trying to do, and you'll get really far. And and try to use AI to help you see if you're in something that's toxic, maybe, and or get out of
Mhm.
that. And because when you something toxic, a lot of doors that could open pass you by.
Mhm.
Yeah,
All right. Well, thank
life
you
is
so
one.
much.
Yeah, life
You
is limited. You live one time. You don't get to go back in time. So make sure you do the right thing and don't waste it.
Hell yeah. I really
Get a nice.
appreciate you. Thank you for letting me interview you. You were my first interview on my podcast, and I would love to do a part 2 or something. Like I said, fucking everyone nowadays has the attention span of a fucking
I think that there
fish.
are certain people who get a kick
So,
out of. Viewers will definitely want to watch every minute. They're
oh
gonna
yeah, for
watch.
sure, for sure. Yeah. Um
Good.
if the viewers enjoyed this, we can definitely do a part 2 and get more in depth of the stories we were telling and everything. Obviously there's things that he can't talk about right now because of legal reasons and shit like that. So, maybe eventually after everything's over, we can actually talk
I'm
about
working
it.
on.
What'd you
I'm
say?
working on.
You cut out,
I'm
sorry.
working against the damn landlord. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's one.
so yeah, anyways, make sure you guys follow him on social media. I'll have everything linked down below. I'll have that YouTube video you were talking about down below. You have really cool content on YouTube, so I really
Yeah.
hope they do check it out. It was an honor speaking to you, Joseph. I'm so happy we finally got this done. And again, thank you so much for letting me interview you.
Yes.
And
Do you see the
please.
dog pass? Is it passing?
Yeah.
Go. All right. Bye.
Alright, peace out,
And
y'all. Thank you for watching. Here's to the next episode.